Hey guys, what's up? So I was thinking with the whole situation with us being in lockdown that I would be doing just a few anime quizzes just to keep your spirits up and just even just to keep me a little bit more entertained. Of course, doing YouTube is just a nice way of kind of expressing yourself, and it's a nice way of just making life that much more bearable. So today I'll be going to look at basic Yu-Gi-Oh questions, mostly from the anime series, the original series, and a few to do with actually like the releases of some of the card packs. So question 1 is, who was the character who threw Yugi's exodia cards off the boat? And of course, you know the answer is Weevil Underwood. This was in one of the first episodes when they were going to Duelist Kingdom, and he wanted to see the cards. He pretended to be a bit of a fanboy. I was like, "Oh, I'm such a fan of you." Took the cards and tossed them aboard. I believe Joey dived into the ocean, and he was able to recover 2 or 3 of them. But without the full set, he lost his Exodia, which he has still not recovered to this day. So following from that, actually, I was looking at question 2, and this is, what was the boss monster Weevil Underwood used in his first duel with Yugi? For any of you who do know, it's pretty simple. But I want the name of the specific monster he used, not its strongest form. Because that Yugi was able to actually stop it fully progressing into its strongest form. And the answer to the question is the Great Moth. His strongest monster is actually the perfectly ultimate Great Moth. However, Yugi was able to stop the Cocoon of Evolution from progressing his Petite Moth to that level, because he used he used a Gaia, the Dragon Champion, and he also used Curse of Dragon with its ability with the Burning Land. He called it a magic card. It's a continuous spell that destroys the field spell, weakening the Cocoon of Evolution just enough to be able to destroy the cocoon, but not strong enough to completely destroy the progression of its summoning. Now we have a question from one of the very first episodes. It's been episode 1. This is to do with Seto Kaiba, and the question is, how many Blue Eyes White Dragons were there in the original Yu-Gi-Oh series? This is specifically only the Blue Eyes White Dragons. I'm not talking about the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon or any other variation. I'm talking about how many in overall there were. And the answer is 4. So you had 3 from Seto Kaiba, and you had 1 from Solomon Moto. Seto Kaiba's idea was when he entered the card shop after hearing at school that Yugi has a powerful card, that his grandpa has one. He wanted to actually see it for himself. He was able to see it when he went to the card shop, and he tried to buy it from Solomon Moto. He tried to trade it for a massive suitcase worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but he refused, saying that it belonged to one of his dear friends and that he treated that Blue Eyes White Dragon as something incredibly special, and that it didn't matter that it was a Blue Eyes White Dragon. It could have been any other card, and he would have treated it in exactly the same way. Seto was very angry with that and arranged for the kidnapping of Solomon Moto. He managed to defeat him and took his Blue Eyes White Dragon before in front of Yugi when he tried to confront him, tearing it to pieces, saying that he didn't need the card, but the whole purpose of having it was that to destroy it was so that no one could use that card against him. So with this fourth question, there's actually 3 answers to it, and this is purely talking in the respect of their attack and defense points. So question 4 is, what was the weakest monster used within the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh? I'll give you a small clue. It was used nearer the end of the original series, and it was used by one particular character. Okay, no more clues. It's time for you to decide. And the answers were Thousand Eyes Idol, Thousand Eyes Restrict, and Relinquished. Each of these cards had 0 attack and 0 defense. They were all used by Maximilian Pegasus within the final duel between himself and Yugioh Moto. The weakest out of them in particular is the Thousand Eyes Idol, because that's a vanilla normal monster with 0 attack and 0 defense. Thousand Eyes Restrict and Relinquished both have absorption effects, so they can actually gain stats from what they take, and have effects which actually make themselves much more useful, being able to inflict battle damage, and generally taking your opponent's monsters is always a good thing. Because nowadays you can just use those cards for more versatility. Okay, so with question 5, it is, what is the first name of the pharaoh? And this information wasn't received until the final series, because I suppose in that respect it's the rest of the series were following on the idea of trying to find the pharaoh's identity, and then as he's been progressing through the various duels he's had with some of the Millennium items holders, he's been able to remember things from flashbacks to his past, but the final series helped to find that name. So let me know what you remember it to be. And the answer is, of course, Atem. I think this is quite an easy question. It's found within the last series, and it was used to defeat, I think it was Zork, who was the villain alongside Bakura at the time. Question 6 is, what was the strongest monster summoned in the original Yu-Gi-Oh series? For anyone who actually remembers, it's quite an obvious answer, but for anyone who hasn't seen the series in quite a long time, there is only one answer, but there have been stronger monsters summoned within the series straight after that, actually. Within the Battle City arc. And the answer is, of course, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This was used in the duel between Yugi and Seto Kaiba, just before Yugi was trying to enter the castle to compete in the finals tournament. He was stopped by Seto, who threatened if Yugi didn't forfeit the match, that he was going to, basically jump off the castle into the sea, and anything could potentially happen to him. Yugi was in the process of actually defeating the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon with a combination of the Living Arrow card, which was a spell. It's only an anime spell. It was never introduced actually in the TCG, where it fused, I think it was Zombie Mammoth with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and every turn it would lose the attack stat of the Zombie Mammoth, which was 1200. So over a couple of turns, it became incredibly weak. Seto managed to revive one of the Blue Eyes heads, which he used Monster Reborn to bring out a Blue Eyes White Dragon, and ended up defeating him basically by cheating. Okay, so question 7 is going to be looking at the card packs that were released within the TCG. And so question 7 is, what was the first main set card pack to be released within the TCG? I am now showing my age because I was aware of this set, and I believe I purchased this set, so yeah, I am showing my age. But you can easily find this information. But try and have a good guess on this. See what you think. And the answer is Magic Ruler. This set was actually changed a little bit later on, because magic cards were changed to spell cards. This is to do with them getting into legal trouble with Magic the Gathering. So they wanted to distinguish the two. So the only way they could deal with it was to change magic cards to spell cards. So, following on from that, what was the date Magic Ruler was released in TCG? Now, I'm not expecting an exact date, because that's going to be impossible. But even if you are to give me, say, for example, the year, comment it down below, then we can see how close you got to it. And the answer was the 20th of April 2000. Imagine that, almost 20 years ago. That is definitely showing my age. So this next question is one that's quite personal to me, and I've probably mentioned it once or twice within discussions, but for anyone who hasn't seen some of my other content, question 9 is, what is my favourite Yu-Gi-Oh card? Now, I'm not evil enough to just put that out there and expect you to know it, because there are over 10,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards as of making this video, so I'm actually going to give you some options this time. So your options are A, Blue Eyes White Dragon, B, Red Eyes Black Dragon, or C, Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. So, which of these three do you think is my favourite card? And congratulations if you got this. The answer is Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. The reason for this is this was the strongest card I got out of the first card pack I opened from Metal Raiders. I mean, I got some pretty useless ones out of there. I got Trent. I did get a decent one for the time, which was 7 Coloured Fish, which is a level 4 1800 attack monster. At that time, that was considered good. And of course, the Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. I was quite young at the time, and obviously it being a fusion, I hadn't been aware that you needed other cards in order to bring it out. I didn't have any polarizations at the time. I think I got one Thunder Dragon in that pack as well, so that was quite a decent bit of luck, but I didn't ever actually get another Thunder Dragon for quite a while after that, so I could never bring it out. I suppose I just really liked the design of it, and obviously it being shiny. I mean, that was the first kind of hollow shiny card I got. I think at that time of age, at that age, you've got to be like, ooh, shiny. And the final question is question 10. Which card released in Rise of the Duelist can search torrential tribute? This is an up-to-date question because this is the newest pack that's being made in the OCG. It's not what we'll receive immediately as we're waiting on Eternity Code, but this is a couple of sets away. So it's always nice to see what the OCG brings, and because it's recent information, it's something you probably are aware of. And the answer is, of course, Fury of Kairyu Shin. This is just basically, it's an amazing card for searching out one of what was a very broken trap card when it was first in use. And it supports directly water attribute decks, which there are quite a few of. So guys, what did you think of this quiz? Is this something you'd like to see more often? I am planning for different ones. I'm not just purely looking at Yugioh. I'm quite a fan of Digimon, Pokemon. I loved Card Captors as well. That was one of the animes I really enjoyed. I never actually got through watching all of them, but I definitely went through the first series and about half of the Clear Card series, so I'll be probably rewatching some of that to get some of the questions for it. I will probably be looking into Medabots as well if that's something you're interested in. Just leave your comments below. What are you guys doing to try and kind of ease the boredom during this situation? I love to read to your comments. Please remember to like the video if you enjoyed it. I did spend some time on this one, even just coming up with the card artwork for this and just getting kind of like the design for it. Make sure to subscribe and share where possible. I'd like to get a few more subscribers and just to up my viewing times as well. If you can help, that'd be great.